That is correct. That's exactly what I'm arguing. Customer service at Social Security, the Social Security Administration, your local Social Security office, customer service has never been better. If you asked me a few years ago, I would say probably grading it maybe a C, C plus. If you're talking about filing for disability claims, maybe a D. I'm sure a lot of people are yelling at me right now and says, what are you talking about? I just went into my local office and I had this terrible time and I was denied and this, that, and the other. Give me a few seconds here and let me explain what I mean by customer service being perfect, best it's been in years. And by the time I finish, I think you're going to agree with me 100%. You're like, no, I'm never going to agree with that. No, the customer service is terrible. All right, so listen, this is going to be interesting. So Social Security has been, over the last few decades, has been quietly redesigned. If you're a regular viewer to my channel, you probably already know where I'm going with this. And the way the system is designed now, difficult. If you've ever called into Social Security, it takes hours to get in, and now they've installed AI, which makes everything even worse. If you go to your local Social Security office, even if you can get in, they might give you the correct answer, incorrect answer. Social Security staffing has been cut back substantially. The office I ran probably lost about 30% of their employees, and they were already low when I retired. So it's very, very difficult. The Congress, politicians are making more and more laws, regulations for Social Security. They just passed the Social Security Fairness Act last year, which made everything even more difficult and took a lot of resources out for people that were, looking for survivor benefits and disability benefits. So basically what politicians have done over the last few decades, and they've really gone on steroids over the last year with Doge and Elon Musk, is what they have done is broke the system and made it extremely, extremely difficult for you to get your benefits. Luckily, a lot of our community here, they watch these videos, they pay attention to all the programs and Social Security, retirement benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, disabled widow benefits, SSI, SSDI, Medicare, Medicare savings program, the extra help, all the different programs that people don't know about. We have a community here of about 600,000 people that watch the videos on a regular basis and go out there in the community and help people in the community. But in terms of the actual Social Security Administration, all those decades you paid into FICA, part of that money went for help. So most of the money went to fund your retirement when you started collecting your Social Security benefits at 62, 65, 67, 70, or whatever the case may be. But a very, very, very small percent of that, about less than 1%, was supposed to go for help. When you walk into your local Social Security office, for them to help you make sure you're filing for your correct benefits, make sure you get the right benefits at the right time. But unfortunately, politicians over the last few decades have decided not to provide that. And that's where I'm coming up with the idea that customer service is the best it's been. And you're like, wait a second, Ed, you just said it was terrible. The issue is, are you still the customer? I would argue that it's getting to the point that you are no longer the customer. So customer service is perfect. You're just not the customer. We're not the customers anymore. This has been a long, drawn-out process. They tried it under George Bush, the son, to privatize Social Security, outright. It was a partial privatization, but it was a partial privatization, kind of like Medicare Advantage. That's privatized Medicare. They were kind of doing the same thing with Social Security, kind of a Social Security Advantage. We as the American public said, absolutely not. What are you doing? Are you crazy? No, we don't want to give Social Security over to Wall Street, even part of it or all of it, or no, absolutely not. So they regrouped and said, okay, we need to make this a multi-decade process to where, number one, we get people to hate Social Security, and we get people to hate the people at Social Security. And, we design the program, we cut resources, we don't improve the computer system, we make the policies more and more difficult every year, and then people will go down and yell at Social Security and yell at the employees, when in fact, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain are the politicians who actually make this. So it's like, yeah, we broke the system, and, okay, we've tried nothing to fix it, and we're all out of ideas. So what's going to happen here, my regular viewers know what I'm going to show next, is the fact that within 88 checks, this is going to switch here in a couple of days because you have 87 more checks at 100%. And then the 88th check is going to be cut by 23%. According to the Social Security Trustees Report, the Congressional Budget Office does it a little bit different, so they have a few more months on there. But the Social Security Trustees said 87 more checks, and then unfortunately we're going to have to cut everybody's check by 23%. And this is what politicians are basically doing. They're running out the clock because the closer we get, the closer people get to getting their checks cut, then the more susceptible we are to just, okay, do whatever you want. And that's the customer. You are no longer the customer. The customer are Wall Street billionaires, the people that provide the politicians their funding to run for re-election. And, once they get out of office, they go work for these, I'm not going to mention any particular companies, but those are the customers now. Those are the customers. The customers are the people that want the trust funds. There's what in the most recent estimates is there's what $2.5 trillion in the trust fund right now, and about $1.2 trillion comes into Social Security every year through FICA taxes. And this is what, since basically 1935, Wall Street has wanted to get their hands on. And they might finally be there. So these are the customers. So in terms of customer service, A+. You're just not the customer anymore. We're not the customers anymore. But what does that mean for you right now? Well, there's two things. Number one is, for right now, you need to make sure your check is correct. You make sure you're getting the correct benefit amount. People, say, hey, what are you talking about, Ed? Customer service is awesome. I went ahead and filed online. There was no issue. Well, Social Security, if you file online, previously, before maybe this month, a human being checked it. Make sure there was no other benefits available from that record. Make sure there's no gap. Make sure there's no scrambled earnings, as we call it. There's a no totalization agreement that's an issue. There's a lot of things that Social Security employees look before they actually adjudicate your claim and then start you may never talk to a human being. If they don't need your birth certificate or your legal status, your green card or passport or something like that, then they don't talk to you. And you think, well, I just filed online, pushed the button, I got my check. It was simple. What are you talking about? No, there was a human being that reviewed that record, reviewed your application. They're taking that out and they're going to make AI do it. That's going forward. So we're going to see a lot of mistakes. AI can do some stuff, but it makes a lot of mistakes. So there's no employees, essentially. There's skeleton crews at the Social Security Administration. They're not able to handle that anymore, and that's kind of the point. So the important thing now immediately is to make sure you're getting your benefits, and those around you are getting their benefits: retirement benefits, disability benefits, disabled widows benefits, survivor benefits, lump sum, all those different benefits. People think Social Security is retirement benefits and Social Security cards. No, there's so much more to it. And the next thing you need to do long-term is participatory democracy, right? Reach out to your politicians and say, hey, don't even try it. We get what you're trying to do. We are the customers. This program was built for us in 1935 to make up for a loss of job, retirement, and it's been around since 1935, and we want it to be under the current system, but we want help when we need it. Not AI help, a human being. We want to talk to a human being. When we pick up the phone and talk to someone about this missing check or an overpayment, we want to talk to a human being, not AI. So, hey, if you need help with Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, Part D plans, make sure you reach out to my partners at Chapter Medicare. I looked for a place that would help you all out, and Chapter Medicare knocked it out of the park. They've got excellent customer service. They look at every single plan in your area, and their help is always 100% free. Give them a call and they'll see if they can help you out, and tell them Dr. Ed said hi. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, like, share. I've got a website, mygovexpert.com. Got a lot of information. I do this live Q&A every single day, it seems like, until my wife tells me I have to take a vacation. But you can also go to mygovexpert.com, and I've got all the information there on retirement benefits, disability benefits, survivor benefits, family benefits, Medicare, overpayments, living overseas, appeals process, myths, living on Social Security alone. And we've also got a brand new website which just went live within the last few days that we need people. This is help all those people. It's a discussion type forum for people receiving, disability benefits, continuing disability reviews, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and if you can help with anybody on all of those. So make sure you join the website. We don't spam you with emails and stuff like that. It's free to join. Everything is free to join. So definitely check that out. Those are resources for y'all. So let's use them and help out our community, like our 600,000 people that already help our community. Okay, let's get into the live Q&A here, and let's see if we can answer as many questions as we possibly can. Before I even started, we had a question. It says, my husband passed away in February. I'm 84 years old, have been collecting 50% of his Social Security while he was living, but now that is no longer. Yes, okay. February, this doesn't make sense. If he passed in February, you're no longer collecting 50%. Well, here's how the calculations happen. A lot of people miss this, and this is one of the worst discussions Social Security employees have with surviving spouses, widowers. If you were receiving benefits, if you were on that your deceased spouse's MBR, Master Beneficiary Record, Elon Musk, that's the money, that's the record that pays out money, not the one you were looking at over here that supposedly have, 200 years old people receiving Social Security. You notice Elon Musk never found one penny because he was looking at the wrong record. All right, so if you were receiving any money from a spouse while they were still alive and kicking, and that person passes, if you're past your full retirement age, those benefits are automatically, it's called an auto convert. It's automatically converted from regular living spouse benefits to surviving spouse benefits. So you're no longer receiving 50% of his benefit amount, you're receiving his full benefit amount. But what a lot of people don't calculate on and they don't plan for is the fact that your check, you don't get two full checks. So the best way to explain it is, let's say your husband was receiving $2,000 a month and you were receiving $1,000 a month. So together your household was receiving $3,000 a month. And when that person passes, you often hear that you get their check. That is correct. And you're like, well, I still get my check and I get that check. So $3,000, nothing changes. No, unfortunately, your check offsets what you get. So you do get that check, $2,000, but your $1,000 offsets that. So the total coming into the household the next month is $2,000. So you essentially lost $1,000. So it sounds as though you're 84 years old. If Social Security was notified of the passing, then you being on that person's record, your benefit automatically calculated. But you're probably thinking that, okay, I'm just receiving 50%. No, you're kind of the way it's calculated, it's kind of confusing. Again, another thing politicians do to make it all more difficult. But it sounds as though that's the issue. Your benefit amount offsets what you're receiving from him. And the only other thing is, if you were married to him when he passed and still living together and everything, you're also eligible for that terrible, embarrassing $255 lump sum death benefit, which has been $255 forever and ever and ever. So it's crazy. So, Carlene, when is the COLA going to be added to our check? I did not get it added for November payment. Yes, you did. It just, you got it. Stupid phone. You got it, the one last year. But for COLA, it starts January. So it's added to everybody's record. I get that call all the time. People say, hey, here it is, February, March, April, or whatever. I didn't get my COLA. Yes, you did. Everybody gets the COLA. It's automatic through the computer system as soon as they decide what it is. This year, it's 2.8%. Yeah, I think it's very, very low. Anyway, the computer guys back in Baltimore, they multiply that times the 71 million Americans receiving Social Security benefits, and it's across the board. And even if you're not receiving Social Security benefits and you go in there to see what your benefit would be like in the future, that COLA is also added in there. So that's automatic. So people say, well, no, I didn't even get it. You didn't get the letter. Just go into ssa.gov and you'll see the letter in there that talks about the COLA and how that increased it. But usually people, it's just not very much.